Welcome to my welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Charles, and you're watching Save Our Children TV. Back at it for a brand new video. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Hit the notification bell. Please subscribe, and subscribe. Now I have 6 stories for you guys tonight. The first story happened back in 2021, with an update. A Texas Jack in the Box employee. So Texas is going to take an L. A Houston, Texas Jack in the Box employee was arrested after video shows her shoot at a family over a curly fry dispute. And this happened back in 2021. She just now been arrested in this case. New release events came before the show. A Jack in the Box employee shooting at a customer and his family at a Houston area restaurant in March of 2021. Anthony Womass filed a lawsuit last year claiming the entire incident went down around 11:30 p.m. at a Jack in the Box near Bush International Airport in Houston. Sorry, Intercon- in, near Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. According to the lawsuit, Ramos, his pregnant wife, and their 6-year-old daughter were in the drive-thru when Ramos confronted restaurant employee over missing curly fries. That's when employee Alonia Fantasia Ford brandished a firearm and pointed it at the family's vehicle. The lawsuit said Ford began cursing at the plaintiffs and yelling at them to get the F out of here. Ford also threw ketchup, ice, and other items at plaintiffs in their car, the lawsuit said. She fired a handgun at least twice at the family, with one shot grazing the rear of the vehicle, the lawsuit states. Ford was arrested after the shooting and charged with felony assault, but she reached a deal with prosecutors after 6 days in jail and pleaded guilty to misdemeanor daily conduct, per documents show. The family said their daughter is in counseling due to emotional distress from the shooting, and they filed a lawsuit against Jack in the Box, Ash Foods, and Ford seeking mandatory judgment relief over $250,000, not more than $1 million. So here's the news video.
We're getting the first look at the moments a Jack in the Box employee opened fire on drive-through customers. Now, this all happened near IAH in March of 2021. Fox 26's Gabby Hart joining us live in studio. So, Gabby, this video really shocking when you look at it.
To say the least, Rashi. Now, many of you might remember this story. A family had their dog, their 6-year-old daughter, in the car with them when they got into a dispute with an employee over missing curly fries from an order at that Jack in the Box. And for the first time, we're actually seeing the video of how it all played out. On March 3rd, 2021, Anthony Ramos picked up his pregnant wife and 6-year-old daughter from IAH. They drove to a Jack in the Box right near that airport. Watch as Ramos pulls up to that drive-through window. He's then greeted by Alania Ford. And once his food was handed over, an order of curly fries were missing from the bag. When he asked for them, he was told no. That's when the argument started. You can see Ramos in his red pickup truck going back and forth with Ford. She walks away, comes back, and the argument continues. This went on for roughly 9 minutes before things escalated. Watch this. As Ford walks away from the window a second time, she pulls out a gun from her pocket, checks it, and then puts it back. Another employee approaches the window to try and resolve the situation. But in the midst of that, Ford comes back and starts arguing with Ramos yet again. This time, things are more heated. Eventually, she starts throwing ketchup packets into his truck window. So he started throwing things back. The other employee closes the drive-through window and locks it. But then Ford comes back yet again, unlocks the window, points her gun directly at Ramos, and starts shooting as he speeds away. Luckily, none of those bullets struck Ramos's vehicle, and no one was injured. Ford was charged and convicted of deadly conduct, and recent documents show her probation ended in June of 2023. And while we will have that full video posted for you on fox26houston.com. Now, Ramos's family is suing Jack in the Box, and tomorrow morning, their attorney plans to hold a press conference to discuss the latest on this case. Of course, our Fox 26 news cameras will be there, and we'll bring you all of the latest right here and on fox26houston.com.
Only 13, the Jack in the Box employee who shot at a customer is telling her side of the story.
Yeah, we showed you the shocking video last night. She opened fire on the customers after a dispute over curly fries.
ABC 13's Jessica Willey spoke to that woman who no longer works for the fast food chain. Jessica?
Yeah, on the same day that customer and his attorney stood outside that Jack in the Box near Bush Airport to talk about this incident and put pressure on the restaurant, the former employee is defending herself. She claims there is more to this story.
She's aiming, she's leaning. She's not just going up in the air trying to scare people. She's trying to kill them.
This morning, attorney Randall Callanan and his client, customer Anthony Ramos,
Scared, that's for sure.
detailed the controversial curly fry incident and the shooting that followed.
It was pointed right at me. I don't know how she didn't get me.
And this afternoon, the armed employee on the other side of the dispute contacted ABC 13 to respond.
I want to clear my name and tell my story. That's not the whole story that they tell.
Alonia Ford Theriot says she worked for Jack in the Box for 15 years, most recently at the location on JFK, where she says the job was dangerous. This was her in March of 2021. Ramos says he and his wife ordered a meal combo, but didn't get the curly fries.
She said we weren't going to get them. That was it.
The confrontation escalated to food throwing, and Ford says racial slurs, which Ramos denies.
He kept saying, "Oh, you gonna make my order over? This is the type of talk about behind you. We hate like y'all."
She says she asked Ramos to leave. The video captures the gunfire.
The video does show you shoot at them. What if
you hear the audio, you didn't hear the gun go off at all.
There is no audio on the video that was released, but according to court records, Houston police did find a spent shell casing. Theriot was initially charged of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, but pled guilty to a lesser charge of deadly conduct and got 1 year deferred adjudication, which she completed in June. She and the restaurant still face a civil lawsuit. Ramos and his family says they were exposed to a dangerous employee and were traumatized.
I served my sentence. I paid my fees. I did what I had to do. What else do you want from me? I can't give you nothing. But an apology if you want that. But I need the same thing. We both need to apologize to each other.
And in court filings, attorneys for the restaurant denied all allegations tonight. A company spokesman told me that they remain focused on providing a safe environment for customers as well as restaurant workers. We're live tonight in Southwest Houston. Jessica Willey, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
All right. My closing thoughts about this particular story is that she's up here trying to play, not even trying to play. She's up here playing victim. The only way I apologize to him if he apologized to me. Ma'am, you chose to use deadly force against a person who did not put out a weapon against you. He didn't put a gun at you. He didn't shoot inside the restaurant. You chose to shoot out of a drive-through window into his vehicle, at the back of his vehicle. His wife is pregnant. They have a 6-year-old daughter. What if you would have struck his pregnant wife and killing that child? that unborn child? What would you do if struck in that 6-year-old and she was killed because of your deadly conduct? Again, I'm pretty sure this is not the first time this former employee did this. Used and put out a gun on customers at the drive-thru. But Jack in the Box are in serious trouble because y'all should be knowing who y'all hiring. Y'all should be knowing who y'all giving these jobs to. And the fact that the courts allowed her to plead guilty to a lesser charge, she could have killed people. She could have killed people that night. She should have got that aggravated charge should have stuck times 3, and she should have went to prison because clearly she did not learn her lesson. She's still out here blaming the victim. You can't do that. You chose to put out a gun and use deadly force because you messed up, like so many restaurant chain employees do. Mess up food orders. Y'all decided to mess up food orders. They brought the food back. Argument ensued. You chose to pull out a gun. You could have killed people. You could have killed anybody that was driving about that vehicle. You could have killed anybody walking on that sidewalk past Jack in the Box. And at the end of the day, I know it's against the law to brandish a weapon in a restaurant. So you violated policy not once, but multiple times. And at the end of the day, I think you should have went to prison because a message needs to be sent out there that you can't use deadly force when you get angry at a person. That's not the way to go about it. They don't solve anything. So fortunately, family's gonna sue Jack in the Box and sue the defendant, and you know, rightfully so. He could have seriously injured or even killed somebody. It got so bad that they had to put the child, the 6-year-old child, in counseling therapy because this is trauma. She witnessed a drive-through worker shooting at her father, whether you missed or not. He did this in front of a child, 2 children. He did this in front of a child, and he did this in front of a woman who was pregnant. Can you imagine? Over a messed up order. So, it's well, other than complaining about a messed up order. So, end of the day, it's not looking good for you. And playing victim, well, if he apologized, I apologize to him. Man, remember, you chose to open fire. He didn't. So actually, he had to this for your deadly conduct or for your conduct. I don't understand it. But this is called women entitlement. Women think they're entitled for everything. Even when they're wrong, they think somebody will owe them something. We should be owing the family an apology. That's who you should be owing an apology to. Let's move on to the next story. I'm on KTLA.com for our next story, and this is about an arrest was made in a brutal attack on a teen girl at a so-called McDonald's. So this happened in LA. So LA is going to take an L. I'm on KTLA 5. Los Angeles police announced an arrest Thursday in connection with the beating of a 13-year-old girl at a McDonald's restaurant. The suspect, Ariana Lorefi, faces charges of felony child abuse. Investigators say tips from the public helped them track down and identify her as the suspect. The assault happened on September the 6th at a McDonald's on Alameda Boulevard in Harbor City. Video of the violent confrontation showed Cassidy Jones, 13, being punched, kicked, and knocked to the ground by the older female. Cassidy says she and her friend were on their way home from school when they stopped inside the McDonald's to use the restroom. They got some food and was going to the bathroom. Cassidy took her to LA. But when she came out of the restroom, she claims a woman she had never seen before suddenly lunged at her and began beating her. It was totally unprovoked, Cassidy said. I don't know her. I didn't say anything to her. Cassidy said the woman was yelling at her during the assault, saying, "What the F are you looking at? I fight kids. I fight you." Video of the fight shows a woman who is much larger than Cassidy pulling her to the floor and punching her in the face repeatedly. As Cassidy tries to defend herself, a crowd of onlookers watch, but no one intervenes. Cassidy said the woman only stopped hitting her after a man she was with eventually put her off. The suspect then grabbed her food and left McDonald's. Angelina said her daughter called her, sobbing and terrified. That's when she immediately called the police and rushed over to Cassidy at the restaurant. Cassidy was badly abused and beaten. Her face was severely swollen and she was covered in blood everywhere. Angelina recalled on Thursday Cassidy family expressed gratitude for the arrest, saying the family of Cassidy Jones are extremely grateful that LAPD has been an arrest of the woman who virtually beat Cassidy in an unprovoked attack at McDonald's. Managers and onlookers offer no hope in stopping the assault. Cassidy is still traumatized and undergoing therapy. But hopefully, this news will give her encouragement that justice will be served. Cassidy deserves a break today. The referee remains in custody and the case will be referred to the LA County District Attorney's Office for final consideration. Anyone with additional information about the incident is asked to call Harbor Area Detectives at 310-726-7900 or the LAPD at 1-877-527-3247. Anonymous tips can be submitted to LA Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or online at lacrimestoppers.org. Here is the news video.
Community leaders are called after a 13-year-old named Cassidy Jones was attacked and beaten inside a Harbor City McDonald's. That shocking video now going viral.
Multiple people can be seen in this video watching the attack. Eventually, one person does step in to break it up. The woman seen beating Jones remains on the loose tonight. Eyewitness News reporter Elena Gomez has the story.
A routine trip to McDonald's after school turned into this for 13-year-old Cassidy Jones. Cell phone video shows a woman hitting the teen inside a Lomita McDonald's. You can see the woman pulling Cassidy's hair and forcing her to the ground before hitting her multiple times. This happened last Wednesday, leaving Cassidy with bruises on her face, and also her mother says afraid since no one stepped in to help her.
My daughter is hurting emotionally. She can't sleep at night. She's bruised. She doesn't want to go to school because she's tired. of the kids and everybody asking her what happened and making fun of her.
Today, Cassidy's mom and the community came together to protest outside the McDonald's where the incident happened, calling for the woman involved to turn herself in and for the McDonald's managers to be charged since they did not take any action.
I would like for the person that brutally attacked my 13-year-old daughter to turn herself in. I know you're watching. I know your family is watching. Do right. Do the right thing and turn yourself in.
Cassidy's mom says that her daughter told her that she went to use the restroom in the McDonald's last Wednesday when her friends went to grab food. When she came out, the woman in the video locked eyes with her, seemed upset, and was saying that she fights kids. That's when Cassidy says the woman grabbed her arm and the whole thing started.
There was a lot of kids inside of McDonald's. There was a lot of customers inside of McDonald's. Not one person stopped this fight. You know, it wasn't a fight, it was a beating. No one stopped it.
Cassidy's mom also said that she's upset that she hasn't heard from McDonald's to give her and her daughter an apology. As of the latest update, LAPD says this is still an ongoing investigation. In Lomita, Elena Gomez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
I'm playing one more video.
Shocking video of a melee at a McDonald's in Harbor. Shocking video of a melee at a McDonald's in Harbor City. A 13-year-old girl knocked to the floor, punched and kicked. More than a dozen people are watching and they don't do anything. The teen's family says the attack was unprovoked and they are demanding answers. They want the suspect arrested.
KTLA's John Finolio live in Harbor City tonight where he spoke to the girl's family. John.
Sandra, Micah, this video is tough to watch. The victim, just 13 years old, just started 8th grade, in fact. But it was while walking home from school where she was attacked and beaten by a grown woman at this Harbor City McDonald's. Now, we're going to show you that video. It is disturbing, but we're showing it to you because the family is hoping someone will recognize this assailant and contact police.
I'm okay. I'm trying to keep it together.
13-year-old Cassidy Jones is still trying to understand why she was the target of a brutal attack.
Still getting the process of it.
It happened at this McDonald's on Lomita Boulevard in Harbor City last Wednesday, September 6th. Cassidy and her friends were on their way home from school.
They got them some food and I was going to the bathroom.
But when Cassidy came out of the restroom, a woman she had never seen before suddenly lunged at her and began beating her. Totally unprovoked.
Unprovoked. I don't know her. I didn't say anything to her.
What was she yelling at you?
Just like, what the F are you looking at? What are y'all looking at? I fight kids. I'll fight you and all that. And
She's saying, I fight kids?
Yes.
You can see the woman is much larger than Cassidy, pulling the teen to the floor and punching her in the face repeatedly as Cassidy tries to defend herself. A crowd watches, but no one intervenes.
Oh, you don't just sit there and watch someone beat another person. How can you sleep at night?
Cassidy's mother, Angelina, says her daughter called her sobbing and terrified. She called police and rushed to her child.
I see her and she's blood everywhere.
By the time they reached the hospital, Cassidy was badly bruised, her face severely swollen. She says the woman only stopped hitting her because a man who was with the female attacker pulled the woman off of her. The assailant then grabbed her food and took off.
I want her to go to jail. I want her to feel what my baby feels every night. She's in pain.
Cassidy says this is the woman who attacked her. However, LAPD has not confirmed she is a suspect. The family now hoping someone will recognize her and call police.
End of the day, it's not right for that to happen. And like I said before, under any circumstances, that a grown adult should put their hands on a kid that did nothing wrong.
Cassidy's bruises are healing, but as you can imagine, the trauma of it all is still very raw. Anyone with information about this attack is urgent.
All right. Closing thoughts about this particular story. One, how can you? What I mean by how can you? I'm talking about the people at McDonald's, the workers, the customers. How can you stand by this and watch a grown woman beat on a child? That's a that's like that's a what that's like okay. That's like watching a woman in McDonald's knock out a 2-year-old. I mean, why would nobody want to intervene? What if this woman had to beat this child to the point that this child died from her injuries? That's still be held liable for that. And it's called negligence, homicide. The place in McDonald's. I just don't understand how people can stand by and watch someone get beat. We live in America. And this is why we have so much trouble in our communities. Because we see people stand by and watch this go down and don't intervene. And McDonald's needs to be held accountable because they could have intervened. And I do believe the family is suing McDonald's because I would. And two, I'm glad that they got this woman in custody for felony child abuse. But anybody who stood around should be arrested also, including the McDonald's employees, because it's called. Anybody know what it's called? If you stand around and watch someone get beat in your periphery of you, it can be called accessory and or negligence because you're neglectful. You're neglecting the situation that could have been 10 times worse. You failed to intervene. It's called accessory because you were more worried about posting it on social media than breaking up the fight because you want to just stand around and watch the fight go down. It's called accomplice. You are an accomplice. You watched this go down and did absolutely nothing about it. We're talking about child, okay? Beaten inside of McDonald's. A child, 8th grade child, 13, who goes to school and now gets tormented because of this. And that's called trauma. So now this child is going to need counseling, therapy, because this is trauma. This is trauma. And at the end of the day, everyone who stood by needs to be locked up. If you can stand by and watch a child get brutally beaten for X amount of hours, then you are just as guilty as the perpetrator beating on a child. That makes you an accomplice after the fact. So, with that being said, I'm glad that the police still got this McDonald's under investigation. Got this case under investigation. They need to prosecute these employees who stood by, customers who stood by, because this is not okay. Do you think if this 13-year-old kid was white, maybe Mexican, maybe a different race, would you think then they would broke it up? probably will. And I think it's sad because we already have issues within the black community. We stand by it on the big up facts anymore. We want to be quick to record, post on social media for views and likes. But at the end of the day, you can be arrested for not intervening in this. Somebody could have broke this up. Somebody could have been a bigger person and separated this woman, got this woman off this child, got this woman out of McDonald's, called the police, if anything, while this was happening. But you had people standing by thinking this was A-okay. And what it was a brutal beating. And it could have been a fatal beating had people continued standing by and nothing was done. So, to the family, I hope you get justice. And I also hope you find a major loss on this establishment. And continue protesting at this McDonald's because they would be out of business if it was me. This McDonald's would be out of service, shut down, doors closed and locked. Because if you could stand by this brutal beating, then you should not be in business no more. Like, comment, subscribe, and we're gonna move on to our next story. And we wish the child a speedy recovery and prayers. Now, you will not believe this next story. Speaking of New York, we have another daycare story. This time it happened in another daycare. Teens were arrested after police bust through them doors and found a ghost gun making machine, making ghost guns in a daycare in New York City, another daycare, once again. So New York City is going to take an L. I'm on NBCNews.com. Ghost gun found in New York City daycare after baby dies from suspected fentanyl exposure at another daycare. New York City officials have vowed to take action after a ghost guns and a 3D printer were found in an unlocked room at a licensed daycare center just days after fentanyl was discovered at another site where a child fell ill and later died from apparent opioid exposure. We are clear that we must protect children in New York City, Mayor Eric Adams said at a news conference Wednesday as he vowed to lead the entire country and taking steps to ramp up safety at the daycare sites. The proclamation came as the New York City Police Department announced the arrest of an 18-year-old found to have 3D printed ghost gun at his mother's home in East Harlem, which they said was being operated as a licensed daycare center. Police said they found multiple ghost guns in an unlocked room at a residence, including two completed 3D printed guns and an assault pistol. that was in the final stages of assembly. A 3D printer and printer tools were also found. Karen Coley was suspected to be charged with illegal firearms possession, manufacturing of an assault weapon, and reckless endangerment. Manhattan District Attorney Elvin Bridge said in Wednesday's news conference, when made aware of ghost guns and 3D printed firearms appear just like commercial firearms, said Rebecca Winter, the NYPD's Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism Bureau, in the hands of teenagers, they say, and can inflict just as much violence, she said. The discovery of the ghost guns was made as part of an investigation into the manufacture and sale of privately made firearms on PMFs in New York City, police said. It came less than 2 weeks after Fentanyl was found at a daycare in the Bronx, brought after a 1-year-old was bereaved after 1-year-old Nicholas Dominici fell ill and died, and 3 other children got sick from apparent opioid exposure earlier this month. In that case, investigators found fentanyl hidden under a trap door on the same floor where children had played, as well as in a closet on top of children's playmats at the Divino and Nino Daycare Center, according to police. 2 kilo presses typically used by drug dealers to package large quantities of drugs were also found in the closet, authorities said. 3 people, Jerry Mendez, 36, the owner of the daycare center, Carlista Acevedo, Brito, 41, and Randy Antonio Pereira Paredes, 38, have been charged in connection with the Bronx incident, with authorities saying they worked together to deal drugs. Mendez's husband, who has yet to be identified, was later arrested in Mexico. These sources said Mexican State Police and agents with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and the U.S. Marshals Service apprehended him on a bus heading to Sonora, the sources said. Speaking at Wednesday's news conference, Christina Chang, Executive Deputy Commissioner and Chief Program Officer with the City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, said family daycare sites are subject to both announced and surprise inspections. Chang said the last inspection at the East Harlem Center in February, 3 violations were found related to documentation around feeding and sleeping schedules, as well as verification from doctors that children did not have any infectious diseases, but corrective action was undertaken to resolve those issues, she said. Adams and officials will work to continually modify the rules to stay ahead of bad people that are doing bad things and environments where our children are. He did not specify what modifications might be made. Asked whether he had suggestions for what officials should be looking for when doing daycare inspections, he said it was challenging, but the inspectors were not just walking through during site visits. They're looking in closets. They were looking in bathrooms, he said. And so there's an extensive process already in place. We are just dealing with a new enemy, and we have to stay ahead of those who are finding creative ways to create dangerous environments, Adams said. Here's the news conference. I'm at the news video.
You just can't make this stuff up. To AMP.
It's in 3D print. And 3D printers were found at that daycare. 3 people. Guns and 3D printers were found at that daycare. 3 people are now under arrest.
Fox 5's Linda Schmidt joins us live from East Harlem. Linda, what do we know about this investigation?
Yeah, first of all, you can't even believe that we're even having to report this tonight, but it has happened yet again, this time involving ghost guns being found in a daycare. An 18-year-old is now charged. His mom was running a daycare out of this building right here behind me, a nice apartment building here in East Harlem. So far, she has not been charged, though. 2 minors, though, are under arrest for helping the 18-year-old with this operation. Go ahead and take a look at this video here. This bust today as part of a long-term investigation to crack down on ghost guns here in the city. Police say the 18-year-old was running the operation out of the apartment that he shares with his mother on East 117th Street in East Harlem, and that the guns were found in an unlocked room in the apartment. Now, the mom is operating a legitimate licensed daycare here. The teenager and two minors are accused of stealing the identities of other people across the country in order to buy ghost gun parts online and then make the guns in the apartment.
Inside this daycare facility, investigators recovered a 3D printer, 3D printing tools and plastic filament, 2 completed 3D printed firearms, 1 3D printed assault pistol in the final stages of assembly, and 1 additional 3D printed lower receiver.
You got an 18-year-old in his room, 3D printer. He's not making little robotic toys. He's making guns. But that should be scary to everyone.
All right, a couple of more pieces of information here. Under arrest tonight is 18-year-old Karon Jamal Coley. Again, he lives in the apartment here with his mother. City officials also telling us that the daycare center was last inspected in February, and it had 3 violations. They included for failing to keep sleeping and feeding schedules for the children here, as well as for not having documentation that shows that the kids do not have infectious diseases. The mayor also pointing out in the news conference today that in light of this bus today and also the bus that happened in the Bronx less than 2 weeks ago, where that 1-year-old little boy died after being exposed to fentanyl, that the mayor is saying the city is going to have to enhance dramatically the training for inspectors. So they will now have to look for things like drug paraphernalia, knowing what fentanyl looks like, knowing what cocaine looks like, knowing what ghost gun parts look like, and also how to look for trap doors. Back inside to you.
Tough job just got harder. Linda, thank you.
All right, my closing thoughts about this particular story is that you can't be surprised when it comes to daycare centers running illegal business. We live in 2023. We have seen it all in years before 2023. But why are you selling ghost guns out of a daycare, out of a home daycare? You gotta imagine if there's children in there, they could get access to one of them guns and it could be over. Because people do not put up guns like they should be putting up guns. They leave it loaded instead of unloaded. They leave it loaded so a child gets access to it, not knowing that it's unloaded. It's over. So we gotta do better when it comes to running these daycares. And I think it's sad because this is the second daycare in New York City within a week apart from each other that have been just unbelievable things. One had drugs in it, another had guns in it. Like, what are we doing? You're dealing with people, children. And if you want to do illegal activity, don't run a daycare. Just don't. Don't. Because you're putting people's innocent children in harm's way. And for no reason whatsoever. Shame on you. And you should be hit with a federal gun charge. Because you clearly don't care about the safety of children. So you shouldn't be around children. You shouldn't be working with children if you can't handle working with children. And I don't know if the mother knew that her son was doing this in this her licensed daycare. We don't know. But I'm pretty sure the investigation is ongoing, and we will know if she knew this was happening. Because if she knew they were doing this in her daycare with these ghost guns, guess what? She can be charged. It's called negligence. Because you did not intervene. And if you knew that your son was bringing this stuff inside this operated daycare, then you can be arrested too. You can be charged. So, I'm gonna give an update to the story, but tell me what you think about this story down below. And tell me the craziest story, craziest daycare stories in the comment section down below. Have you experienced any crazy daycare stories? It's crazy out here. Our next story is about a preacher and his wife who were charged with the R word and abuse charges. So let's talk about that story. So let's see, Freesboro, Tennessee is going to take an L. I am on WSMVE News 4. A traveling pastor and his wife, both facing several child and abuse charges, appeared in court on Tuesday morning. Benjamin Garlick and his wife Chantel were both arraigned by Circuit Court Judge Barry Tidwell, and the arraignments were a judge and prosecutor firmly pressed on charges against defendants. Benjamin Garlick, 32, is charged with 5 counts of aggravated child R, 5 counts of aggravated X battery, X exploitation and of a child, and continuous X abuse. His wife was charged with facilitating child R, aggravated child A, among other charges. The R charges stem from actions that were alleged to have occurred in February of 2021. Police said Garlic helped run La Espada, a Marfajril-based ministry for Spanish speakers. A sign posted at the business showed Garlic having given a conviction notice on August 29 for not paying rent to Sword of the Lord publishers. Benjamin Garlic remains jailed in the Westford County Jail on a $750,000 bond. Chantel Garlic was released on a $75,000 bond. The couple is back in court on November 27th at 9 a.m. And I cannot play the news video because it's not the charges are very, very graphic. so I can't play the video because of that. Number one, to be a pastor, right, or a minister, and to be doing this type of stuff while you working in a church, and you're doing this type of stuff, one, is against the law. Two, what would you think God, the Lord, would say if He knew you were doing this type of stuff at the same time you're preaching to Him in a church and honor Him at the same time? And this is what you're doing behind closed doors. And your wife is right by your side, facilitating this with you. It's horrible. And the fact that this woman is released out of jail, she should still be in jail like he is in jail. And so I said the system is broken for a reason. Because if you accused of this type of stuff, there should be no type of bond whatsoever. We gotta start holding people accountable, the courts accountable, the judges accountable, the attorneys accountable, DAs accountable, prosecutors accountable, because we're releasing the devil back on the street after they violated children. Okay, why is she not in jail? Because she's right with him. I will never understand. She should not be walking around Tennessee. She should be in jail. I don't think she deserves to be at home in a cozy bed. I think she should be in a jail cell, in a bed, with a sheet on metal, in a closed cage, and awaiting trial, just like he is. So at the end of the day, I say, too sad, our system is failing our children. Because if these people are around here using children, should she be out of jail? The answer is no. The system got to start caring about our children. Because clearly they have been playing games in the court system, releasing people like that back onto the streets. You're putting children in danger. Why would you do something like that? But they still not guilty in court of law. They still should be sent in jail. It's a liability. It's a risk. You're putting onto the community. There's no need for it. So, because it's about this, it's about him to be in, well, she needs to be in jail where he's at. I don't know why she just out of jail. Let's go to our next story. Infant baby almost eaten alive by rats. And shout out to AFC talked about this story and that other story just got from talking about. Let's talk about it. Among one news. A 6-month-old baby girl's in it. Hold on. Okay, a 6-month-old baby boy, my fault. A 6-month-old baby boy in the U.S. state of Indiana was nearly eaten alive by rats while sleeping on his bassinet. According to ABC's WRTV, the Evansville Police Department was called to a residential address on September the 13th. The baby's father, David Schonensbaum, told dispatchers he found his son in his crib covered in blood. He said he believed the son's finger may have been chewed off. The baby was taken to a local hospital and later flown to a dedicated children's hospital for medical care. Documents cited by WRTV state that the infant suffered more than 50 bites to his forehead, right cheek, and nose. He reportedly had 2 bites on his right thigh and several bites on his right foot and toes. Further documents said that the boy's right hand suffered the most traumatic injuries, with numerous bites starting at the elbow and going down to his hand. All 4 of his fingers and thumb on his right hand were missing the flesh from top of them, exposing the fingertip bones. Damage to his index and pink fingers were the most severe, as they were missing the flesh halfway down each finger. According to hospital records, the infant needed a blood transfusion due to his blood loss and he nearly died. Court records state that the family told detectives they had a rodent problem which began in March of 2023 and contacted a local pest eradication company. The document also revealed the parents, Angel and David Schonenbaum, had been confronted by the Department of Child Services numerous times. In December of 2022, DCS filed a claim of neglect after another of their children was injured due to lack of supervision. The parents were also being monitored for an unsanitary home, including clutter, animal feces on floors, and foul odors. According to Evansville police, the infant was released from the hospital and placed in a DCF safe home. So here is, matter of fact, I'm not gonna play a news video on this because this was graphic. My thing is this: if you live in a house with an infant, even a child from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, and you living with children that young, and you knew that house had rodent problems, the first thing you should have did was take you and that child out of that home. You could have stayed in a car, went to a hotel, a motel, and until you got spent, go to that house and did an extermination, killed them rats, and buy everything that house needed to get back in order. You put that child in danger by leaving him in a rat infested house. You care more about yourselves than the safety of your own children and your own child. And I think that it's, well, children. And I think that it's sad because you could have prevented this. You could have taken your children to a hotel, called somebody out there to take care of that problem. You chose to be neglectful. You chose to be ignorant, selfish, level headed. And I think that we got to start holding people like that accountable because this is not okay. And this child could have died from his injuries because rats have babies. So that child will now have to get a technic shot, probably undergo surgeries, probably had to get blood infusions, all of that, now and in the future. And I think that the aunt was arrested and the mom and father was arrested because nobody intervened to take this child out of this deplorable condition. We gotta start holding people like that accountable. They should have been in jail a long time ago. Now, dozens arrested after mobs ransacked stores in Philadelphia. And if you have not watched that video on the news, then go watch it now. You know, and my understanding, they did all of this because, hold on, before I talk about this story, well wishes and recovery to the child and made those individuals do prison time. Now, my thing is, the store was they ransacked the stores because a police officer um, was charged, but the judge and DA dropped the charges against him. He's accused of killing an unarmed man, killed him, and he was freed from jail. And people was upset. They started riot. Well, They went to stores and started looting. You know, looting is stores, number one. And I said this earlier. The situation was graphic. It was horrible what that officer did. That's number one. But number two, by vandalizing the stores, guess what you're not doing? You're damaging your own stores. Your own stores. So now when you want to go shopping, guess what? Now you can't because everything is damaged and ransacked. And I understand you're upset about what happened. I will be too. But I won't go to a store and start vandalizing stores because guess what? It's not the people who work in the store fault that this officer was not charged. As a better way to do this is to protest outside the police department. You could have uh, marched and walked down the streets with the victim picture and say justice for the victim. You could have also went to the U.S. Capitol. You could have went to D.C. and bring it to their attention. You could have hired, you could have, get something done about this a different way than vandalizing your stores. And I think we gotta do better when it comes to our anger because we're doing things out of anger that is horrible. Over 15 to 20 people were arrested. Majority of them were adults. Three was juveniles, and I think it's sad because we're seeing more and more of our stores be destroyed. We've seen businesses being destroyed. We've seen adults who should have been a better example for the children. They weren't. They stooped down to the children level. You can't do that as an adult. You're showing them bad, bad instructions. You got to show children positive instructions because these are children. And when you work with these children to go loot these stores, how does that make you feel good about yourself? And to live stream it and put it on social media and think that you're going to get charged with just posting it. Police watch every video that comes on social media. They're taking notes. And they're going to knock on your door or they're going to wait until you post it and come find you in the crowd and arrest you. So you gotta understand something. We gotta make better decisions when it comes to ourself, our anger, animosity, our tolerance. We can't let what the system did affect us. Not in a bad way. We can make a change by speaking up with our voices. We can protest. We can ask for change. We can sue the department, the police department. We can sue the courts, call lawsuits for a reason out here in the streets. So there's a lot of things we could have did to prevent this looting, but we had adults encouraging these children to do this, and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and you should be embarrassed. Quite frank with you, embarrassed because I was, and I don't live in Philadelphia, but I was embarrassed what I saw. You embarrass yourself for what? For views, for likes, for clicks, for and so we gotta do better. We gotta do better. Like, comment, subscribe, turn your post notifications on, so you'll be notified every single time I drop a brand new video on this channel. I'll see you guys on Monday. Please hit that subscribe button. Subscribe, 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 subscribe. Get this video to 50 likes, 50 subscribers. Right now I'm at 12 subscribers. Get that bitch to like 50. Or we get up to 100 subscribers by next week. So please hit that subscribe. and subscribe. We want to hit that 3 week mark. Hopefully in 3 weeks, at least be up to 25, 30 subscribers in 25 weeks. I'm at 3 weeks. So just help me out. Peace.